background. Anyway, let's go. Welcome to Overwatch, and welcome to another episode of Probing the Many. Today we're going to be looking at Philadelphia Fusion versus Houston Outlaws. Now, some of you who follow my channel might not follow other channels, the very, very few of you that exist, will probably be going, oh, what about Seoul Dynasty, or Dynasty, however you want to say it. Seoul Dynasty versus Dallas Fuel, that amazing game on Temple of Anubis. Where can we see that? Well, if you go and hop on over to Unit Lost, I did the review on that channel. So if you want to go and check that out, feel free, leave a positive comment, just good stuff, it's all good. So thank you. Do you get revenue from hosting them? No. They get all the revenue. It's just, yeah. Are you able to stream the Overwatch Steam commentator over it? No. That and it will piss Blizzard off immensely if I even tried. No. The best I can do is do my... It's just answering chat questions now. But the best I could do is do what I did on the first day of the Spitfires play, which is my Reaction Girl impression. If you aren't aware of what Reaction Girls are, Reaction Girls are like, they were a blight on YouTube for a while, where people just make content and then people just react to the content. Oh my god, so-and-so went, and my reaction was, oh my god. And so that's all I kind of could do, was just like watch the Spitfire game and sort of react to stuff happening and talking about it, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Won't be able to sub for next month, remains to be seen. If you can't sub, you can't sub. I don't mind. Like, I have lived and been poor myself. I know how it feels. Still kind of am poor, but I have enough. I have enough, so I don't need your subs. If you need them for, you know, food and heating and stuff like that, it's more important than me, slightly. Right, anyway, game. Houston Outlaws, yeah, Houston, because I almost went Fusion. Houston Outlaws versus Philadelphia Fusion. Let's get to the game. Because this was a really cool series. And going into it, like, a lot of people, myself included, were kind of underrating the Philadelphia Fusion, because basically we didn't get to see them playing in preseason, and their team lineup is very interesting as a bunch of players, like as a collective group of players. There's some very high skilled players, but they don't have players known for their communication. These guys aren't known for their shot calling ability or stuff like that, so it's like Neptuno kind of has a background in it, but that's sort of the only person on that roster who I saw was like really communicative. They have one of the most diverse rosters in terms of languages and sort of points of origin and stuff like that as well, so it's like, okay, how's this gonna go? Like, you would die being run by like a Russian and a Korean. How's that mix gonna work? And it turns out it's napalm. It's insane. It's fire. It's incredible. Like, it's what you really wanted, because Carpe and Shadowburn form this amazing duo, and that's going to be like one of the big driving forces going through this. The other big driving force, I think, is some of Houston's inflexibility in certain roles, and part of that is, I think, that if they played Mendo Kusai, they might have had a better time of it. There were questions I had about Houston's Tracer play going forward, because I think Lynx ended up playing Tracer quite a lot in this, and I don't think Lynx's Tracer was quite to the level where it needed to be, especially going up against someone like Boombox. So we're going to just keep an eye on sort of how that's going and how the counter engagement's going. Just before we begin, team lineups are going to be where we're going to start, of course, and Philadelphia Fusion, yeah, that looks like they sorted themselves out. Boombox likes to troll around and pick random stuff all over the place before he begins, but yeah, no surprises. Get used to seeing this lineup from Philadelphia Fusion. I suspect it's going to be what they're going to play like 99% of cases, outside of having to play a Pharah comp. But Tracer Genji for the DPS, this is going to be like, this is the core big thing of Philadelphia Fusion. Then you've got Fraggy and Poco. Poco had a really good performance. Fraggy is just one of the most aggressive balls to the walls tanks you can probably find in Overwatch League. And then Boombox and Neptuno. Boombox is like the undivable, and so it's sort of the nice thing about Boombox is he will just win you fights occasionally, because he'll just kill someone, and Boombox sort of demonstrates this time and time again. We're going to find opportunities to point that out. Meanwhile, Houston playing more of sort of this is sort of the standard lineup, I guess. Like, this is pretty straightforward and standard for this point. Basically, you have the supports up here on this high ground area, and you have Soldier 76 with them, so that if they get dove, Soldier 76 drops a healing field. Everyone's A-okay. You have the tanks more up front on the buildings. You have Lynx over on the opposite building as well. So let's play the clip. So yeah, so the supports stay up here on this high ground. It's nice and safe, and then you have Lynx over here, two tanks over here. Standard as standard could be. Sometimes you'll see an Ana being run. Some teams do run the Ana still on that high ground area with the Soldier 76. Again, it's just to provide more healing to these tanks. These tanks' job is just to drop down, disrupt on the point, cause a couple of issues while Lynx tries to find things to kill, basically. This is standard pro Dorado. Like, this is what you expect to see. And naturally, teams that sort of learn how to counter this. So you'll see Winston's jump up, peek up at the rooftops just to call out what they see. You'll see Divas occasionally go up there to try and contest it as well, try and knock people down. But instantly, Philadelphia Fusion go aggressive on the dive, and instantly, Houston Outlaws end up in this really shitty position. And like, this is where like it starts going wrong. And it sounds like a weird thing to focus on, but they shouldn't all be clumped up like this. Like, this is not how you survive these dives. You don't all just stand in a location where Genji can hit all of you, Winston can hit all of you, Diva can hit all of you. And it's sort of like, I just want you to pay attention, because this is what I'm going to pay attention to on this dash. Look at Shadowburn's ult charge to start with, 10%, pretty good, 14, 22, 29, 10% from one dash, and he gets resets. That could have been worse. Like, he could have reset and got through even more kills. So they only get both supports, but that's basically this first point, is now all the momentum is in Philly's favor. Jake does a good job in getting a couple of kills out of it, but like, Jake's the only one who came out of that with anything for Houston Outlaws' side. So now Philadelphia Fusion have all this momentum. You've got Shadowburn already on 51% of his ultimate charge, and this is an aggressive dive team, so they're just going to keep that pressure up. You're going to see Shadowburn scanning out, scanning around. Carpe's already in position. One of the downsides is Poco did lose his mech, so they're going to be without the Diva mech, so this could be a little bit dicey on that front, but hey, as long as Shadowburn can keep on building his ultimate, they're in a pretty good place. Linksa does get the better of Carpe. That's a nice start for these guys, but they still have to contest with Shadowburn in the backline. Dive goes in, and again, it's just good, clean, solid dive. Fraggy and Shadowburn find the Zenyatta, kill the Zenyatta, no problem. It's also given enough space to Neptuno to get a res off. Hasn't needed to, no Valkyries yet in the game, but this is just like Houston now having to fight back. They leverage the advantage of Jake managing to do enough damage during that initial stage to get the tac visor up, to get ground again, but they've committed that's their big one safety. They've had to commit Pulse Bomb, they've had to commit tac visor. Meanwhile, Philadelphia Fusion are going to be coming into this next fight with an ultimate Bonanza. They're going to be playing the aggressive dive style as well, so they're going to be taking initiative. And that to me is the really big part of this, is Philadelphia Fusion's playstyle is really, really good for taking initiative, and if you're used to seeing these dive styles and you play it well, just waiting for it to go back to the main screen, thank you for showing us Attack Visor. So basically, like, Philadelphia Fusion experience, like, clearly know what the hell they're doing with this dive lineup. So all they're going to be looking for is they're going to try, well, because Houston know that they're vulnerable to the dive, they just back the hell off. Mooma's over here as well. Let's change to the green. Will stand out more. So you got Outlaws backing off. Mooma's actually found himself in a nice position here. So it looks like they want to do some kind of counter dive with Mooma and Linksa maybe. I'm not quite sure where Linksa is. He might actually be over this way as well. Just biding his time, hoping to get onto Boombox and Neptuno. But the big question I have is, like, they're going to have to fight on the point. Like, all that's happening right now is Philadelphia Fusion can just move up to the point for free because they can see, oh, Outlaws are just, like, miles back. And then when they get to the point, they're just going to go, okay, well, where is Raucus, where is Banny? And they're just going to try and dive them and kill them. So they just get up there, and the dive goes in super aggressively. It's a good counter dive onto Boombox, but instantly, Iris is passed, Shadowburn draws the Dragon Blade, instantly countered with the Transcendence. So Shadowburn just sort of jumps the gun slightly, goes in big, but hey, Poco does what Poco does, gets a free bomb, gets a kill on that, and suddenly, like, the fight just degenerates into chaos for a little while, and honestly, this does sort of favor, I think, Philadelphia Fusion, because they just have more resources in the tank, after just sort of instantaneously saying, okay, well, we'll just trade the Dragon Blade, and then, as long as Boombox is rezzed and survives, and hey, this dive onto the backline where they go for Boombox is a-okay, because Neptuno's sat on Valkyrie, so who the fuck cares if Boombox dies, right? Just means that they're going to sort of cycle through the ults and come out on top in the end. Because Boombox still has Trance. So even if this fight started teetering back towards Outlaw's favor, Boombox has Trance available to him. So they just decided, okay, we're just going to trade the Dragon Blade. I think that's bold. That's bold and that's quite nice. Because what you'll see quite often with these teams with the Genji is the Genjis will often try and force the Zenyatta into trancing and then try and clean up with the Dragon Blade. Shadowburn just didn't seem to give a shit. He just Dragon Bladed and just looked at what happened. And was sort of confident enough in his play outside of the Dragon Blade to be able to keep this momentum going and just to win the team fight in a straight-up brawl, which I think is impressive. I think that's really impressive. And that's insane. Like, I want to highlight during that, and like the advantage of this tactic, like one of the sort of advantages that's just sort of popped into my brain, the advantage of doing this kind of stuff where you're just going to engage super hard with the Dragon Blade is that if you do just go on and fight this and just win this fight, Shadowburn builds up another Dragon Blade amazingly fast. Amazingly fast. And so all that's happening is he's charging his blade. And so that by the time you get to that next fight, he's already on his next blade. So he's just come from one fight into the next one with the Dragon Blade. What are Houston going to do about it? They have Visor, but Visor can only get you so far, and especially without a support ultimate backing it up, it doesn't make a difference. Philadelphia Fusion also managed to hold on. Like, one of the things that I was critical about Boombox during his time with Team UK was Boombox had a habit of using his ultimates very early or very selfishly. Here he doesn't do that. He actually manages to keep hold of it and just holds onto it. This gives Fusion such a huge advantage in these fights. Because if they want, they can just send in they can just basically try and force Houston off the high ground and then just engage with the Dragon Blade plus Trance, which is just super safe. Boombox goes down. Thank you, Marinwen, as well. 13 months, 13 ohm hypes. That's a lot of ohm hype. Like, Boombox even died during that fight and didn't use Trance. That was really nice. I think that's really, really nice, because he knows that they've already won the fight. They don't need to use it. So that just continues this sort of advantage in the Ultimate War the Philadelphia Fusion have sort of steadily been building up. It's pretty cool. It is pretty cool. Again, just aggressive holding, not letting Fusion sort of take any control, take any ground. They have to use Trance just to break out the door. Again, I want to highlight Shadowburn using these ultimates at the start of fights means that he has 52% going into this one. Carpe bombs Linksa somehow, and this is sort of highlighting the issue I mentioned earlier, which is that Outlaw's lack of a solid tracer is going to hurt them a little bit here. Linksa is amazingly good at the hit scan. Like, he's amazingly good at McCree and Widow. But when you force him into this situation where he's trying to play the tracer, surely that's where you want to have, like, Mendo coming in. Mendo, who's, you know, he's more known for his Genji, but surely he can do the flanker role. Surely he can take that sort of role. And in my mind, you might be better off, and like, this is sort of what I was hoping to see out of this sort of matchup was, you know, get rid of Jake and just put in Mendo Linksa. Like, that should be a really, really fearsome combo, and that's one I would like to see play, but it's not going to happen. They also have Clockwork for Tracer as well, so they could have had Clockwork in instead, but they anticipated with Dorado that Widowmaker's very good here, so you want to have that that Widowmaker player, that All-Star Widow. I haven't heard much about Genji, Mendo. Yeah, Mendo's been quiet, and I'm not sure why he hasn't been played. Maybe he's ill, like he often is. That's sort of one of the downsides. But this super aggressive playstyle of Shadowburns is insane.
Will have made so many more VAR fans. Also,
VAR.
Thanks for over a year of awesome content.
You're more than welcome, Mr. Mace. Thank you for the 13 months of subs. Like, that's hugely appreciated. Yeah, Envy as well. I'll highlight Envy and Zumba. Just very, very good play out of those guys as well. Diva's in a pretty powerful place. I think she had like one of the highest pick rates over the week. Wouldn't surprise me. This is where I miss Captain Planet. Like, where's Captain Planet? Where are you? We need your statistics. Anyway, I'm sure Winston's Lab probably has it somewhere. So here's where you're seeing, like, so Jake's trying to get gonna try and get a lot done off the back of this tack visor. I think the only reason why they haven't swapped earlier to the Junkrat here is just to use that tack visor to try and win this fight, and they do manage to win this fight off the back of it. They don't have resources to commit. Neither do really Fusion, so Fusion don't really lose anything by losing this fight, because you see Jake running off now to go and swap to that Junkrat, just because they know that they're going to be fighting in a lot of these closed environments, and this is where the dive is going to start struggling a lot more if you're trying to jump into stuff like Junkrat. Otherwise, this is, again, relatively standard. Houston Outlaws should be feeling pretty comfortable. They have both support ultimates available to them. As long as no one screws up, they should be able to hold on for this next fight or two. They just got to make sure that they sort of get these fights going. Fraggy just blunders into a trap. It's a bit of a shame. But, like, Jake goes down. How does Jake go down? The thing with Jake going down is it's forced out the Valkyrie. Fusion have only committed Primal Rage and Bomb. Now they're committing their own Valkyrie. And honestly, I think they could have maybe just held off on this. But if they can get Transcendence out of Raucous, that'll be huge. It looks like they're going to commit even harder. So Boombox commits his ult. They're going all in on this fight. This tells me that Philadelphia Fusion maybe feel more comfortable just trying to force this into like an ultless battle. Just a straight up fight between the two teams. And once that happens, they're in a great place. You can see Raucous is kind of stuck in a catch-22. Like, where did Raucous die? How did Raucous die? What killed you, Raucous? Like, it was just the dive killed him, and he didn't trance. Fusion tranced. So it's like Raucous just didn't blink, basically. And this is sort of the scary part, because you still have Shadowburn's Dragon Blade available. So Raucous is sort of in the situation where he's trying to consider, do I trance this and then just set us up for getting killed by the Dragon Blade, or do I just wait it out? And without having that Soldier 76, there's no reason for Boombox to hold on to this. And I like this aggressive playstyle. Like, this is where I really want to highlight like why I like Fusion, because they have this aggressive playstyle to them where you have like this super aggressive tank, you have this god tier diva that's apparently come out and just like killed everyone with diva bombs non-stop, you have one of the most aggressive Zenyatta players in the game who just likes killing people, and then you have two of the most aggressive divers and Neptuno just mixed in there for flavor. And it turns into this really, really nice aggro comp. It's just not afraid to just throw shit at the enemy team and just see what happens, because they think that they can just beat you if you run out of resources and they run out of resources. I get the feeling that they think they can just win the fight, and they might not be wrong with that assessment. I see in questions. I think Jake ends up on the low ground and gets clipped by Tracer. Let's try and track Jake. So Jake's up on high ground. Try and keep our eye on him. Sets the trap. It's where Winston gets blundered into. This is actually, that's a really nice trap if you are playing Junkrat on this point. It just means that the supports have somewhere, like you notice that once Fraggy jumps in, the supports just drop back and lure him into it, basically. It's really nicely done. It doesn't look like he ends up on low ground just yet. It looks like he gets sort of focused down and just burst. Gets rezzed and then I think just goes hunting people down. Valkyrie comes up. He tries to ult, is what happens to him. So Carpe spots out the ult. So basically Jake gets killed by Carpe, Jake gets res, Jake kills Carpe, Carpe gets res, Jake tries to ult during that time, Carpe finds him, kills the Riptire, kills him. There you go. And so now Houston are entirely like they're losing ground here is the scary part as well. This is Dorado, you can hold on the final point, but they're losing a lot of ground here. Like everything's going to come down to this next fight. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to just see Shadowburn just go for it. Like, judging from what we've seen from him before, he might. That's a good double kill from Jake. Can't really fault that one. They just were too close together, and it looks like a left click and a bomb just connects, kills everyone. Push is done. One thing I want to highlight, this is just good dedication from Fusion. They're still trying to bait Raucus. So you can see that Raucus is low on hit points. That's just a sign that they know that if they can fluster Raucus, if they can panic him, it's going to go badly for them. So Raucus does a good job of just holding on to that ultimate. Raucus is one of those players I think is a little bit underestimated, because I think he played well. Like, he had a couple of, one or two iffy moments, but I think he played well overall. Carpe just gets a nice opening pick. Banny gets sort of baited. Reds gets cancelled by Poco. This was actually like really nice by Poco, just sort of knocking the Mercy off and making sure that she can't get that res. So kill comes in, and then, hey, you're pushed off, you can't res. That's nice. Nice little detail. Stops the res coming through. Stops one of the main two DPS threats. Zenyatta's both use their ultimate, so basically, like, if we watch the ult counters, you see that both teams basically use it, because Boombox uses his, that triggers, and Raucus gets a bit low, so Raucus has to use his. Shadowburn has an open pathway now. And Poco's just trying to slow down, like during this time, they're just trying to slow down the fight. Good bomb from Linkser, sort of on the back line, kills kills Neptuno. And then, C9. Like, they just push it in. So it's like, Dragonblade, 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 Dragonblade. And honestly, I think Fusion would have won that fight regardless, because I think Shadowburn could have just Dragonbladed and won, and that's all the difference it's going to make.
Love Twitch Prime love for love.
16 months. Bloody hell. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the support. People talking about the map pools. Yeah, the map pools are predetermined. It hasn't changed since the preseason. The reason is, like, tournaments used to run map drafts, but they used to have like every single map in them, and it was just way too much for pros to play. Like, most FPS games don't play that many maps. And so what they did was they narrowed it down to have 2 maps of each type, and then teams just cycle through those. In my mind, it's a shame that Junkertown is one of the pure payload maps, because I don't like Junkertown, and I know people are going to go, oh, but Fuel and so-and-so had a really, really good game on it that went to an insane scoreline. It's like, yeah, that's because it's... You get people on the payload, and the payload pushes, and you can't stop it. It ends up being a farce. It just doesn't feel good. And I know it's exciting the first time you see it, but I predict we might see a lot more games going like that. And that worries me. I miss pick ban? I miss pick ban slightly. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing a limited map pool with, like, simple pick ban. But this format I actually do quite like as well, that forces teams to run through everything. I quite like this type. It should be skipping ahead of this. There we go. Team lineups. So something different coming out of Outlaws. Namely, Jake is going to take up the Pharah. So they're playing a pharmacy. No surprise seeing Lynx to take up the Widowmaker as well. He's had a lot of success with it. It's definitely proving to be one of the better Widowmakers, I would say. Definitely want to keep an eye on. Lynx, I think, still has an issue with sort of self-confidence and nerves. Compared to some of the, especially the Korean Widows, who seem a lot more self-confident in what they're doing. Lynx, I think, like, Lynx just needs someone to sit down and sort of explain to him, you deserve to be up there fighting these guys. Like, this is where you belong. Hopefully he's got people sort of helping him with that. Otherwise, yeah, like, Philadelphia, get used to this team comp. Spoilers. So the Pharah is interesting on Dorado because basically you can contest this high ground area. I see. Interesting to see Fusion starting out over here. It's a little bit unusual. And like you see Carpe's further back as well. There we go. Now they're getting set up. Interesting that they wait so long with it though. I think cooldowns will be fine, but it's a little bit interesting. So no surprise to see Jake hug this wall. And we're just trying to contest high ground, get a little bit of damage, knock one or two people down maybe. It's a nice counter dive from Houston Outlaws as well, just like going straight for this high ground area and just trying to fight on it. I like it. Unfortunately for Fusion, yeah, Raucus just ends up getting the better. Like this is sort of one of the things with Zenyatta. This is why you'll sometimes hear people complain that Zenyatta's too strong, which is just like Carpe just gets shreked on the back line. That's a lot of DPS threat gone, and that's going to be a lot of pressure off Lynxer as well, who's just going to be landing these shots now, left, right, and center. And with Jake just occupying so much attention, people trying to slow stuff down on the cart, it's not going to make a difference. This is huge for Houston because, like, if you... Like, I wish I could do this instantaneously, but I can't. But if you can, like, calculate the average ult percentages here and calculate the average ult percentages here, this one is, like, definitely much, much, much higher than this one. Right? Even in the support terms, Boombox got very, very little healing done there. Neptuno is about on the same level, but still. Just in terms of DPS, 62%, and Lynxer on 43%. Lynxer is not as relevant, but compared to 22 and 36%. Shadowburn and Carpe had a really rough time. It felt like the initial aggro from Fusion just didn't find a mark to hit, or just didn't collide on something. Otherwise, aggressive positioning, just standard as standard could be. Fusion trying to just get into a location. The issue that Fusion are going to face is that they have no good answer to this Pharah. So they're going to have to just go on Lynxer again and again and again and just try and kill everyone and then deal with Jake, because all Jake's going to have to do is float around in the... Like, just float around, be up high, keep your Mercy alive, and then just go from there. So you can see it just warding off Poco, just warding him off, keeping him off the Mercy. He was down to about 50 hit points. Res does come through, picks Lynxer back up. But Jake is just occupying, like, creating so much space that I imagine Lynxer's got a couple of easy shots here, and Jake is just, again, like, have we seen anyone shoot at Jake much? Shadowburn finally gets on him, and Poco just rushes him. That finally happens, and I think that's just because Banny gets pulled away. Like, Banny isn't there to heal him, so he just gets focused down. So, Banny, I think... ulted, by the looks of the thing, yeah. Banny ulted, goes, picks up Raucus. Can probably just go and pick up Jake. Probably might pick up Muma instead. Or just lets it go at this point. It's like he's just going to let it go. And he kills Shadowburn. Just to exit. That's honestly a good Diva Bomb for Outlaws. Outlaws just need to sort of be finished with this. I don't know what Cormat's doing. Luckily Poco kills him, because that could have been a nasty stall. Neptuno's just ulted. Why is Neptuno just ulted? This is where I worry about Fusion. Okay, no, Neptuno ulted a while ago. Good. Even though he why did he ult now? Suppose they are 2 down. I don't know, that just feels a little bit panicky to me. Because that's a huge... I mean, Banny had to use his, so they're kind of on even footing. With Infrasight, this should be... Yeah, like, this is just nicely done by Jake. And, like, this is the disadvantage, right, of of Transcendence, which is it's not going to stop that working. Shadowburn gets the kill, but honestly, Houston Outlaws like know that they have Mercy, the enemy doesn't. That actually gives them a big advantage going into the future fights. If like as long as Banny just keeps on healing people, should be okay. It's like Shadowburn is spending so much time away from the fight here. Like this is sort of what worries me. This is where that communication aspect sort of comes in. Can they communicate? Can they tell people to be where they need to be? Because it's like, this is not the time to sort of go on a lengthy flank. This is the time when their tanks are literally just taking over the point, and they just have a Pharah floating around in the middle just shooting at people. So it's like, what? Where are you going? We know where the fight is. You're not going to get something clever on them. They're just going to stand on the point and fight here. Easy. And so that's sort of one of the weaknesses I see Fusion having occasionally, which is where just players might be a bit too independent because they don't have just clear comms. And it's a concern. This is also where it gets scary because trying to push out these narrow doorways with a Pharah just raining rockets at you. Without having... Well, now Carpe swapped to the Widow. Like, they need to control Linksa here, basically. They have to shut Linksa down because if... The way it works is, if I go back to this map, if Linksa can get set up, especially if he can get here, basically if you think about the pathways back to this point, they come from here, here, and here. All of this is in line of sight of this Widow spot. And so what can happen is if you get a Widowmaker set up here, you just completely take control of this entire half of the map. It's really, really obnoxious. Jake's already kind of doing it by just sort of raining rockets down here. You can see the path they're having to take is having to like come out here and then jump up, just to have a little bit of cover against Jake's spam coming in this way. And so it just makes it a little bit tricky for Houston to get out. By running the Widow, they've opened up this space a little bit more. And can basically keep Jake hemmed in a little bit, which I think is why Jake just pulls back a little bit. So you can see Jake is being a lot more careful, just sort of staying behind the courthouse and just staying safe. Like, they have to respect the Widow slightly. You see, like, Coolmat's getting work done. Coolmat's just sort of easy to overlook, but Coolmat's just getting shit done. Like, Fraggy cannot stay here anymore if Coolmat's just there, just poking the shit out of him. Poco's going to have to leave as well. And Houston are fine, just like, okay, a pick came through, let's just take this slow. And this is sort of the state of current Overwatch. This is bad for Jake. Jake sort of like, notice how badly it goes once they stop taking it slow and start going aggro. Just watch this, look at the shit that hits him as he comes around this corner. Oop. Boombox, Shadowburn, up, just like, pull! Boom! Widowmaker, easy kill. Hey, Mercy is a thing. This highlights everything wrong with the current state of Mercy, I think. No, Mercy's fine, guys. This is okay. This is a healthy thing in the game. This is fine. Notice that it's not Carpe shoots Banny either. Because Carpe can't shoot Banny because Banny's moving at 300 miles an hour. Good question in chat, which is, during the Spitfire vs Fusion fight, the casters asked Fusion who was shot calling. They said it was a shared duty. Do you think not having a designated shot caller would be detrimental to them? Yes. I think having one clear voice is going to work. Like, you need to have a captain who's just setting up plays for your team. And it should either be Neptuno or Boombox. Occasionally, Winstons are doing it these days. Like, Chris is a good example. Chris can do it on Winston. But get you a player that can do it and just say, yeah, in-game, you're the captain. You make the decisions on what happens in what fight and go from there. You don't want to end up in situations where it's like you have two people saying things at the same time, just talking over each other. That doesn't lead to clear communications. The way we tried to arrange it in Team UK was to try and set it up so that after a fight, like, the first person who should be talking after a fight was going to be Reels, who was the Lucio player. And so it was just like, Reels, like, run through the ults and then call the plan. And it's like, okay, they use this, they use this, they use this, so we have this, this, and this, we're going to use this and kill them. And then after that, we would let either Chris or Cruz take over sort of target calling, target focus. So interesting to note that basically Carpe swapping has worked. Jake has been forced off the Farah, so that's a lot of the high ground control sort of sliding back towards Philadelphia's side. The question is, like, can Linksa find some space? If Jake can open up ground for Linksa, or if these tanks can open up ground for Linksa, Linksa could absolutely still take over this. Fraggy, again, just being ridiculously aggressive, just staying in the backline non-stop. Linksa manages to get onto Carpe. This is where it starts to get scary. Because Linksa is a world-class Widowmaker. And so if he can start taking control, like, it's going to make a huge difference. And it's just, it's not even that he needs to kill people. He just needs to have the threat of killing people. He just needs to sort of be in a position where he can have sightlines. And you can see now, they're just trying to stall, but they also can't leave the payload. They can't leave this underneath area because they're just sort of, you know, Lynx is just watching, and he's just watching respawns coming out. And Jake's just there to clean them up, help with the cleanup. So Lynx are getting a kill on Carpe. And that basically sums up second point Dorado. Like, as long as Jake can slow them down a little bit and Lynx can just get in position just to contain stuff, this point is done. What's nice about having Jake swap here is that it gives you a good transition onto the next point as well. You notice Carpe instantly gets off the Widow. This is one of the downsides of Boombox. Boombox is very aggressive. Again, Fusion, in my mind, is all about the aggression. Boombox is a very aggressive player. He's going to go for stuff like this. You can see he's making shots as we speak. But making shots into a Widow, especially with Infrasight, is just pushing his luck. And it results in this sort of thing. I think Lynx, it's hard to see. Very hard to see. I think Lynx has actually gone around the back. Judging from where Boombox died. No, it might just be on the front line. I can't see him anywhere. Trying to see if there's like a green silhouette over here. I think he's just in the front. Res picks him up. This is an advantage now to Outlaws. So advantage swings towards Outlaws as they force out the res. They can now afford to play a little bit more aggressively, be a bit more aggro with how they're going to do things. If they can get a kill on Boombox, for example, it means that Jake can go in. Unfortunately, it doesn't feel like they've sort of realized this, and Fusion seem to counter like a weakness with aggression. You know, it's a very Sun Tzu mindset, and unintentionally it's like a Sun Tzu mindset. Never let your enemy know that you're weak, because they just engage. It's like you've used your res, and so they know that if they get engaged upon, they probably won't have that res available. So it's like, fuck it, let's just kill them. See how it goes. Fraggy jumps in, dies unfortunately, but Neptuno pops his ult, and they use his ult just to carry on the fight and win. Shadowburn does a good job surviving there. This push is done. I said Houston should know, and like again, this is like to my mind a bit of a questionable ult by Coolmat. I think he got demacked. No, he's fine. He just tries to catch him on the retreat with a bomb. I could see it. Team, they're trying to reposition. They're trying to get back, so you might catch one or two people. But I would have liked to see that come out like a second or two later, just to cover an engage. Engagement happens. Fusion now have 2 support ultimates, the enemy's 1. Sorry, Outlaws have 2 support ultimates, the enemy's 1. So they want this fight to sort of go long and just rotate through both support ultimates, ideally. Lynx are swapping off Widow. Going dive on dive. Should be juicy for Jake, but this is Boombox. This is why Boombox, in my mind, is worth sort of the big bucks. Is like in a situation like this, he just keeps his cool and just kills things. And it might not seem too impressive because he's got a Mercy pocket on him, keeping him alive through those slashes, but Boombox does that sort of thing so consistently that he will sort of clutch, because if Boombox went down there, I guarantee Neptuno is going to go down immediately after. That's 2 supports down, Jake's going to run riot, and suddenly you have problems. But Boombox just kills him. And that's so common, so common with how Boombox plays. There's a bad play from Jake. Jake got 1 or 2 better slashes. He could have killed the Mercy, for example, behind him. It wasn't a great blade, but it was an air blade. That's really nice from Carpe. Like, this again just keeps momentum in favor of Fusion. And this is where, like, Fusion, like, once Fusion start doing this, they'll just throw shit at you and just keep, like, if the supports are dead, they're not building up ultimate charge, right? So Neptuno's building up ultimate charge, Banny isn't. And then Fusion are just going to use these ultimates, because they're building them up faster than the enemy. And the big issue they're going to start running into, Outlaws are going to start running into now, is that Lynx's Tracer is not good enough to beat Boombox's Zenyatta. And this is one thing I started noticing was, like, every single time you saw Lynxa go in, I think you just see Boombox killing him over and over and over again. And so, yeah, Jake gets a pick, doesn't matter. Res is coming through. And, like, they are very, very willing to use these resources. Boombox has killed Linksa. And you just, like, Linksa just seems to have a really hard time finding purchase, and because Fusion have these ultimates and have them banked and are willing to just throw them at people, it wins them games. It's really, really cool. Ultimates get layered here. So Houston now desperation swapping just to try and get on the point. Vault gets used. And Raucous has to, like, Raucous just uses his, I think. Might just be to speed up and get to the point. I think it is. Yeah, it looks like he's just trying to speed to the point. Carpe does a good job of just slowing this down. All Carpe needs to do is just die on the point, slow this down, and give Fusion a time just to regroup. Like, the slower this payload goes, the better. And this is where Poco is a goddamn saint. This is where you want someone like Poco on your team who can just kill people. Again, good. Like, I like the cool position. I like the cool head from Boombox here as well. Subtle but important. A lot of people would just be desperately trying to run into contest. Boombox knows he's got people available to touch it, so he's just going to pop out over here. Small detail, probably very inconsequential to Boombox. It's blatantly obvious when you point it out and say it, but having Boombox back here is just so much more useful than having him in this space. It just makes it so much harder for Houston to try and do something. Poco. Just ridiculous. Like, Poco has become the king of the Diva Bomb, and it's maddening to see this happen. Like, I'm used to seeing it, like, when I comment on Coaching the Many, it's like, oh, well, you know, it's sub-diamond, so you see people dying to these ults. Oh, well, fine. But Poco can seemingly do this so reliably, where he'll just get 2 or 3 kills with each Diva Bomb. It's such a valuable talent. Such a valuable talent. A lot of games to get through, so we'll just get forward. There's Jake, Uber and Mr. X. Oh god, blink and you'll miss it. Where did Poco play before? I'm not actually 100% sure. Let me check. Liquipedia. If you ever are curious about players, Liquipedia, by far the best website for it. So, some details you sometimes are missing. You might find it on Go to Overwatch, so especially for some of the older details, especially Europeans. Poco. Let's find out about you, Poco. Where did you come from? Game's origin. He is French and played for Game's Origin. Had a good run on Game's Origin as well. Ah, right, yeah, that's Hardest's team. Hardest and Leaf's team. Was never really a standout player on that lineup. Like, if I look at Game's Origin, this is Game's Origin. Like, the players I recognize most are going to be Hardest and Leaf. Leaf was mostly known for being one of the best, if not the best, Doomfist. Peepoo, I recognize well because he has a fun name to say. But Poco never really sort of stood out on that team. So, yeah. Seems to have been a good pickup. What other tournaments are still running for the pros that didn't get picked up for the league? Contenders is starting soon. So teams are looking to get onto Contenders teams. A couple of the Overwatch League teams are going to be running like academy teams in the Contenders setup. There's also the Overwatch Open running at the moment for lower tier teams as well. Good pickup is an understatement, yeah. Again, the issue that you face is it's like you have a Korean, a Russian, a Finn, if I remember right. I think Fraggy's Finnish, a Frenchman, a Brit who's relatively quiet, and I think Neptuno. Neptuno, I think, technically lives on Gibraltar, because I know we were considering if we could snag Neptuno for the World Cup team at one point. Because technically Gibraltar is British territory, so it's like, yeah, we could have him on Team UK. I mean, he sort of more culturally identifies as Spanish, but, you know, we could just borrow him. It'll be fine. The issue that he had is he had no idea what half the team was saying half the time because it was like 6 Brits just chatting to each other as quickly as possible. Anyway, like, this is not a team that screams communication to me, you know? That's sort of my concern. Otherwise, welcome to Horizon Lunar Colony. Any pros from the Falklands? I don't think so. I think the only thing on the Falklands is penguins. I don't think there's much on the Falklands. So, no big shot coming out of Fusion. The only, I'd say, moderate... Okay, this is actually one of the things I highlighted when I was watching the game, which is the lack of flexibility in some of these support choices. Hey, thank you, Dino Detective. Thank you.
My favorite emote.
Nice. 10 ohm hypes. Beautiful, beautiful. Penguins for Team UK. Ah, if only. It'll be amazing. Anyway, right. So this is one of the things I wanted to highlight. You'll see this cause a problem later on in the game, where basically you have Boombox and Neptuno. You basically... Mercy is good, okay? Let me just... Like, Mercy is really... Shouldn't be doing this in caps, because it takes too long. Good. Okay? Mercy's really, really fucking good. And so what you don't want to be in a situation... what you don't want to have is a situation where, say, Boombox is on 50% ult charge, and Neptuno has to play Zenyatta. Because that's not using your players in the best possible way. So it's like, this should be Boombox on the Lucio, and Neptuno should just be staying on the Mercy, because you want to, like, all map long, you're going to keep Mercy. There's a no-brainer there, but Zenyatta is really powerful in second point. If you get him set up on the high ground and just put orbs down on low ground, just shooting at people on the long sight lines, helping them get picks, Zen's pretty good. Well, the way that Philadelphia want to play this first point, Lucio's pretty good. It gets the speed boost, gets them sort of up here, and then... Well, basically they want to get up here, and then they're just going to dive down either side, or just go straight through the middle. Like, they have a lot of good attack options. They know where the enemy is going to be, and so it just makes life easy for them. Houston, meanwhile, want to just play a big tight ball, and it's going to be playing from there. And you can see that they're just scouting out. It's a very, very nice job there. Like, one of the responsibilities I've enjoyed seeing, and you'll see this happen more and more in the Overwatch League, I think, is that divas need to watch, like, Diva versus Rita has become like a matchup of its own, where you just see divas constantly saving defense matrix purely to stop stuff like this happening. Just eating halt after halt after halt after halt. And it's becoming like one of the main duties of a diva player is to eat these halts, because if you don't, stuff like that is going to happen. Now, it doesn't matter, because Houston have decided, for some reason, to stand in a huge ball. And like, when I say they should be playing relatively tight together, I don't mean this tight together. Because all that's happening now is if Tracer comes in this way, and Genji and Diva just come in like this way, where can these guys go? They're all going to be hit by everything, and if Shadowburn just deflects, like, Jake is just going to kill everyone. Fraggy's hitting everybody right now. Shadowburn can hit everybody right now. Carpe's probably having an easy time hitting most people right now in the back behind that barrier. Like, I don't like this positioning, because it just gives them no space to react to the dive. The dive is just going to land on them. They're all going to take a shitload of damage. Once one person dies, or if Jake fucks up one grenade, they are done. They are done. Now, the issue is that dive is really shit on second point. Really, really shit on second point. You see Neptuno swap to Zenyatta already. And again, this to me is just like, ugh. I think part of why he swapped to Zen was just because he didn't build any ult charge during that fight, because he went down first as well. I think if they had Sound Barrier available, you'd probably see these two ults sync up better. So, you know, if I had to guess the strategy, it's like you do that dive, you do that push, and then when these two ults sync up, you go in, you use both of them, and then Boombox and Neptuno can just swap. But it just when this happens, it's all a little bit awkward, and they're leaving themselves vulnerable to this situation. So dive on second point of Horizon doesn't work too well, because if you look at how these teams defend, you usually have the supports relatively near sort of this back area, so they can just fall into here. You generally have like the tanks on the beams on the top, right, up here, and then you generally have like one or two people contesting up here as well, like a tank up here, and then you'll have like a Winston or a Diva on the high ground, and Jake will be up on the high ground as well. The supports will be back here. They're being babysat as well. Lynx is back here. So it's like, where do you dive? Where do you fight? Where do you dive? Where do you go? Because wherever you're going, there's going to be like, there's 3 groups to try and hit, and the other 2 are just going to shoot you and kill you. So it's very, very difficult to actually get a meaningful dive going here. So you can see, like, of how split up this team is, and how quickly they can also reposition. Like, having Mercy up here as well, she can just drop down, she can go back to spawn. McCree and Zenyatta staying relatively near spawn so that people can just get there. And at the second they're threatened, they all just drift towards the spawn. This is one of the things we noticed in Team UK, and it's doubly true here, which is if you're doing a push like this, Diva Bomb is fucking invaluable. Because what you want to do this correctly, in my mind, and like how this gets set up properly, is you're basically trying to set up like a set play. And what you want to do is you want to have Diva Bomb available. You want to send the Diva Bomb in and send it so it lands back here as Genji's going in here. Because what you want is these guys are going to scramble to go in here, and if they're scrambling to get into the spawn but going to die to a Diva Bomb doing it, then great. If they have to run out here, then they're going to die to a Dragon Blade. So you basically set up a no-win situation for them. As it is, all that happens, they go in, Dragon Blade gets drawn, Shadowburn has to deflect because he's landing on top of a Junkrat, so he's just afraid of getting minced by the Junkrat. So it just instantaneous deflect. You could see Carpe's trying to come in from the other side. He's trying to do the job of what the Diva should be doing. Does get a kill, but by this time the supports have gone into the spawn, and now they're safe. They're 100% safe in there, they can't take damage in there, and they're fine. Poco launches a bomb towards where that bomb should be, but the fight's already kind of too late, and the issue with Horizon is once it starts slow, like once you start losing 1 or 2 people and it turns into like a 3-on-3, you're just not going to win fast enough to actually take the point, so you just seed that one, let that one go. And so, in my mind, they're going to struggle unless they get, like, this playoff where they just get the bomb in the right place at the same time the Dragon Blade and Tracer go in. They're really going to struggle. I mean, the way we did, like, even the way we did it in Team UK is I think we ran Soldier on this point. Instead of, I think, Tracer, we just tried to get Mikey out. Like, I think the plan was just get Mikey, like, basically send Cruz and Diva in to go onto that back. Like, we really fucking worked this out. I'm actually pretty proud of the work we did, and it's a shame that we didn't get to show it off more in the actual finals. But basically, you send in the Diva and the Genji, and then what you do is you just use that to set Mikey up on this high ground area with build up attack visor and just win. It's amazingly, it's insane how well that works. You see, like, how safe Lynx is playing. He's just completely out of the way. He's completely uncontested. Could take his time. Easiest Deadeye of his career. Both divers go down. Bragi activates his ult. Boombox has to, like, Boombox just ults to try and, I think, get off the Mercy more than anything. Just, like, overcommit to this because they want to start swapping. But Neptuno has his ult. So it's really awkward. Because it's like, what do you do? How do you figure this one out? How do you swap this one around without wasting a shitload of resources, without wasting a load of time? Because now Neptuno has to get rid of his trance. And then that's going to put them behind for Boombox. The back area is terrible map design. I'm not the biggest fan of it. That being said, with Horizon, once you win a fight, you've usually won the map. Like, when you win, you win. Very, very difficult to get back on the point, especially if someone's on high ground. Whoa, boy. So again, playing aggressive with these ultimates. Shadowburn still holding onto his Dragon Blade, pointedly. Just basically playing chicken with Raucous. Shadowburn's so low. So Boombox is like 40% of the way to an ult. Spoiler alert, Boombox, they don't win on this push. And now they're swapping, and it's like, they're already behind in economy, and while they're doing these swaps, time is ticking away. And to me, like, this is the big issue. It's like, they've left themselves in this position with the hero pools they have, where they can't just, like, for some reason Boombox couldn't do the Lucio there. And that's worrying, because he should be able to do that. Because now, Fusion are way behind on ults. Way, way behind. Shadowburn's going to have to hold on to this Dragon Blade for friggin' ages. I wouldn't blame him if he just used it. Like, I don't know why Poco's bombing here. Wait, is he getting demeched? Yeah, he just gets nailed by something. Oh, Lynx's Deadeye. Okay. Like, what the hell hit him? Lynx's Deadeyeing, and then boom! Boom! You're done now. Okay, so that's 2 ults gone. Just let it go, Fusion. Now, honestly, I wouldn't blame Shadowburn for just using a Dragon Blade and just going on Raucous and just trying to equalize the ult economy, because Shadowburn, I think, can build the Dragon Blade faster than most people. I think Shadowburn can reliably build a Dragon Blade faster than most any others can build a Transcendence. That will be my bet. And I wouldn't mind seeing something like that. So ideally, Carpe should try and get a bomb onto the Zen, but again, they're so split up, they're so spread apart that it's just impossible to do. Like, Carpe is having such a difficult time just getting anywhere, doing anything. This, you notice this dive is like, where are they going? Where the shit is Fraggy going? He's gone for a health pack back there, but he's just died. And, like, they're dying as they're coming through the doorway. Houston aren't worried in the slightest. They can just cycle ults. Neptuno's done a good job of building ults, like Philadelphia Fusion did a good job slowing it down, getting Neptuno his ultimate and building that up. So it's sort of keeping them in the game, but if they're even scared for a second, they still have Trance to fall back on. They can still sort of slow this one down. People are still dying. It's okay for Houston. I think Boombox ulted first. Who blinked first? No, Raucous ults first. It's almost at the same time, so not ideal. Boombox should have just let that one go. Like, by that time the fight's done. On the bright side for Philly, they now have a victory condition. Like, they have the Dragon Blade. You can hear the commentators remarking on it in the back. Like, Shadowburn's had this Dragon Blade for ages, and that could have been a second Dragon Blade by now, definitely. And that's purely off the back of the support ultimate issue that they've had. Again, the dive just goes horribly wrong as Fraggy just dives in and just explodes because he's diving across an open space into McCree and Junkrat. And it's causing them so many issues. Shadowburn finally gets his Dragon Blade off, but because, again, there's just everything's just so spaced out, it's so difficult for him to get value off it. And it's like Houston are just playing spread apart, just saying, yeah, engage, 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 engage. Like, just please, just keep doing this, because Houston are going to win every single time. You can see that now they're swapping up. Carpe picks up Widow, Shadowburn goes on Tracer. And this was actually one of the questions I had during this. I'm actually curious to see... Okay, I think what ends up happening here is Carpe swaps. And they might just spot it out and go, Linkser. Carpe swapped, Shadowburn swapped as well. Yeah, and so you get this reactionary swap of like, okay, Carpe, let's fucking go. Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. And Linkser opens up and blows Boombox's head off. The question I had was like, why wasn't Linkser starting out on McCree? And this is sort of one of the things I find interesting, because the way Linkser was positioning and playing felt much more like either a Widowmaker or a Soldier play than a McCree play. And I find that very, very interesting. But it was just like Fusion just kept falling for it over and over and over again. It felt like Philadelphia Fusion, like if they ran the Soldier, would have probably had a much, much better time. This is where I get a bit nervous about like lack of flexibility and stuff like that, where it's just like, if you play that comp, if they want to play spread out and like standing by the spawn door and you just put Soldier 76 up here, you win. There's no way that the McCree from long range beats that. If they dive into you, you can just heal field and kill them. You don't need to do anything more fancy than that. But it just felt like Philadelphia Fusion were like falling prey to the definition of insanity, just jumping in again and again and again, and just the same outcome every single time. Fraggy dying pretty much instantaneously. Shadowburn can't kill enough people. Carpe maybe bomb someone. Oh look, they've just, like, Banny's just ulted, picked everyone back up, they're okay, they're fine. Because you can only kill 1 or 2 people, and it's never Banny going down first. So again, push, getting ready to go. Cool, Matt's just poking around, scanning out, spots out Fraggy. Oh no. And like, Outlaws made that look easy, in my mind. Like, that looked easy for Outlaws. So this is where I was like, yeah, like Fusion, they can play dive. They've shown they can play dive, but when they need to change off dive, issues start creeping in pretty heavily, I think. That's it, they have a really fucking good pharmacy, because hey, Shadowburn's a pretty good farer. It's nice to see. So, Houston. Interesting team lineup, to say the goddamn least. This was one of the most exciting attacks I think I've ever seen. Raucous is going to win this on his own. just a spoiler alert. If you haven't watched this already, like, go watch it without me commenting over it. Enjoy the games, then come back and watch me break it down, because you're going to get more satisfaction out of it. Just... This is why I think Raucous deserves so many mentions and so much goddamn praise. Mono support with Sombra, offensive Sombra, playing into the Orisa Widow high ground strat. Poco scouts out, might have actually seen the Sombra. I'm actually curious if they did see the Sombra or not, because one thing they could do is just, like, Poco could just spam into this choke point just to try and catch the Sombra, because if you stop the Sombra stealthing through, it just disrupts her a little bit. But just setting up on low ground, getting underneath. Fusion are running the standard, like, what I call, like, Widow Orisa position on this map. Widow Orisa is just there to make it tough for anyone to sort of come through, and Raucous is just going to interfere with the point. Like, you notice that Houston haven't really done any, like, Houston are just still back here. They're just letting Sombra work and just letting, yeah, they're just letting Raucous do everything. So Raucous taps the point at the same time that all this engagement happens. The dive comes through. Instantly, Neptuno almost goes down. It's such, like, that's a bad miss. Oh, that should have been a dead Neptuno. They all end up dying, but Raucous is still sort of causing problems in the backline, and he's almost caught a third. Gets himself a nice cleanup kill, DMX Poco, and then he's just going to live in the backline. Like, Banny shouldn't be here, in my mind. I don't know why Banny's still here. This isn't a good place for Banny. But this has just stopped Fusion's ability to just stay on this high ground, so now they have to drop back down to the point. This opens up this main courtyard a hell of a lot more for Houston Outlaws. Houston Outlaws opting away from the Pharah. And suddenly there's just all this space, because they all just decided to go and chase Raucous. Raucous didn't die, he's a fucking Sombra, of course not. Duh. Like... No shit, Sherlock. Basically, just EMPs purely to kill Boombox. Absolutely fucking worth it. Like, Neptuno doesn't have his ultimate at this point. Team is engaging. Raucous just soloed this point. It's literally that fucking simple. It's insane. Because they know they can't chase him, but they've all sort of come down into this low ground area. They've all sort of been pulled out of position. Boombox is now completely vulnerable. EMP hits both supports. Boombox just gets dove instantly. No one's... Like, who the fuck was stopping Fraggy just walking in? How did Fraggy get there? What? When did this happen? It's because they're all busy scrambling to try and deal with Linksa and Raucous in the backline. Suddenly, like, not Fraggy, Muma. Muma's just sort of walked in, just jumped down. And they just wandered in. And that's just all because their attention just got so pulled away by Raucous and Linksa. They just pull themselves out of position. And again, it's that discipline, it's that communication, it's that... We have this strategy, like, okay, there's a Sombra in the backline. Either you have to send Shadowburn, who was on the Tracer at the time, to go and hunt it down, or you just drop down to the point and defend from point. You're going to run so many issues. Instantly, Raucous swaps off Sombra. Doesn't have EMP, no point on keeping it. Better just to start building that Transcendence nice and early. Linksa's just going to start snaking in, looking for the bomb. Really like this bomb placement. Just a small detail, but worth noting. He knows that Boombox is going to want to sort of tuck inward. Wants to go back towards the spawn. So just throws the bomb inward towards the spawn. Forces Boombox to stay out here and try and fight him. Fortunately, no other dive comes through. Again, this is a very difficult point to dive. This is where sort of Linksa, he might have just jumped the gun slightly on this engagement. Like the other tanks weren't quite in position, weren't quite ready for it. Because this is a shame, because this should have been like, Muma should have popped in now and got a couple of kills. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out that way. If they can get Jake on this high ground, they're in a very strong position. The tanks can't pursue because they know that this doorway is going to be trapped. Carpe has to be careful. Outlaws are just fighting for high ground. They're just contesting for high grounds. This was dirty as hell. Just fucking overpowered piece of shit hero. Yeah, that shouldn't happen. Looking forward to them nerfs. honestly, it was pretty on target. You know, it was pretty on point. And being fair, Cool Matt and Muma were both diving him as well. This is just good target prio. Notice that they're not all diving, just the tanks are diving in. They're trying to contest high ground. Just playing for this high ground fight. And it's working really nicely for them. Clean, I think. I think is the word. I think clean is the word. And now if Jake's alive, he can just sit on the high ground if he wants. It looks like he's decided to sit on low ground instead, just to put some traps down, maybe. He's just there doing damage. Again, I like Raucus's positioning. Just you'll notice this with pros and Zenyatta's a lot, is they'll just back away from points, try and get a good sort of Overwatch on the point, so to speak, and then just start killing people. Cool map, clean up machine. You know that it's going well when Philadelphia Fusion are swapping off their supports to try and get to the point faster, because they're like, even if they win, they're so behind on ult advantage that they're going to have a hard time going forward. So, like, it's if you don't win then, you can probably win the next fight. It's just by building up these ultimates and having this advantage, because the enemy's swapping all over the place just to get to the point. So those kind of stalls can buy you some time, but they're usually like an inevitable loss. Right, half time. Skip forward, skip forward, skip forward. Much as I love these guys and I love this desk. Just keep skipping it forward. There we go. Hey Josh, I started to pick up Moira, but I think it's because I think if that main healer becomes meta, then she will be it. Do you think that's true? Do you have any important tips for me? Don't forget that you're a support. Try and build up healing where possible. So, like, the worst situation you can ever be in as Moira is if you need healing but don't have it. So you want to try and avoid that situation as much as possible. So whenever the healing isn't required, you should be trying to build up as what ultimate charge you can. Or not ultimate, you should be trying to build up what healing charge you can. I don't think she's going to be a main healer for that reason, though, because she can run out. Because if you just turn the fight into like a long poke war and Moira just burns out of healing, you just lose all healing. I think next, yeah, title drop, roll credits. No, CinemaSins is terrible. Anyway, if you want to support the super reliable for next meta, Zenyatta will be it. I'll be very surprised to see if Zen isn't meta. Beyond that, Lucio could definitely make a comeback. Like, once Mercy gets nerfed, you're going to see this increase in aggressive playstyles. Overwatch Central did a really good interview with Tavik, where Tavik kind of explained it quite nicely about how Mercy and Widowmaker kind of interact. How the game, due to Mercy, has slowed down considerably, so these Lucio comps are just less effective. Moira's fun though. Moira is hella fun. So, like, if you want to, like, the reason you should want to become a Moira main is to play Moira, because she's super fucking fun and she's pretty good. Don't try and anticipate, oh, well, I'm going to play her because I think she's going to be on, like, Queen of the meta. Not the best way to go about things in my mind. Like, play Moira because she's hella fun, and you can do a huge amount with her. And again, the big thing, just focus on being a healer first. You are a support. Don't get sort of, if, in my mind, your balls should probably be like 66% healing, 33% damage. Healing orbs are really important, because there's healing that you don't have to use from your reserve tank. Anyway, right. So this is where Philadelphia Fusion gets scary. Because this is where sort of, like, it feels like, again, Houston Outlaws are not using their sort of hero pool well enough. Where it's like, okay, they have Clockwork for the Tracer. Why is Jake playing Junkrat, Farah, Soldier 76 quite often? Think he's there. Well, until Mendo comes in. Yeah, let's just get rid of Genji. Probably not Genji. Like, been mostly playing these, but it's like, I don't know. I don't like the idea of Jake having to take up the Farah mantle as well, or having to take Soldier and Farah. And McCree, and like, well, not McCree, because Linksa takes McCree. But I don't know, it just feels like they're not using this hero pool well enough. Like, they should have someone else picking up on this Farah. Because Shadowburn is just going to shit all over him from a great height. Because Pharmacy matches, and I think I was commenting on this when we were sort of watching it. Pharmacy matches come down very much to whoever's doing more, like, whoever's doing more damage on the ground. And you do that by one of two ways. You just do a shitload of damage to the floor, or you try and kill the enemy Farah and then just out-DPS them because they're dead. Dead people do no DPS. But the big thing I want to highlight, like, even in this first 10 seconds, watch the ult charges between the two, because that's sort of the only indication we have of the damage being dealt between these two. Shadowburn instantly takes a lead and just holds onto this lead. This is indicative of Shadowburn just doing more damage. And it gets really extreme here. Shadowburn starts getting onto Jake, so Jake has to sort of turn, start engaging Shadowburn. Shadowburn's done way more damage so far, and will continue to do so pretty much throughout the entire game. Jake decides to try and go for Shadowburn, while Shadowburn has to use his jet. Doesn't really get much for it, and Shadowburn just kills him. Like, basically, Shadowburn just turns around. Jake has to jet because he's dropped too low, so he has to jet up. This is predictable movement. Shadowburn just starts snagging him with some rockets. No Mercy support coming in either. Shadowburn takes control. In this entire university map, a lot of it does come down to these pharmacy battles. And what was weird was, like, Houston Outlaws had a really cool strategy when they played Dallas Fuel. Had a really good strategy on this map. And I'm curious to see why they're not running it. Maybe they have run it in scrims and found that, you know, if Philadelphia Fusion just played their normal dive style, they could probably clean it out. But it's just surprising to me to see that, you know, they thought, oh yeah, let's play into Shadowburn's pharmacy. Because I don't see that going well for them at all. Again, I want to call into question as well, like, boomboxes on Mercy. I know that Neptuno is the better Lucio player. Neptuno is known as a Lucio player. It's what he does, but it's like, it still feels like again a weird division of labor in this team, where they should be looking to try and refine this stuff. Now, luckily, they know that they're going to stay. Like, this doesn't have the same awkward problem they had before, which is that Neptuno is going to stay on Lucio. It's pretty stable like that. Valkyrie's been used, so, you know, just, like, come back in about 20 seconds' time. The kill comes through Poco, as Poco does. Like, there's not too much more to say about this, really. Shadowburn is shitting on everyone from a great height. Carpe is sort of like clockwork, and Carpe, I'd say Carpe wins that. You could say he's Carpe Diem. He sees the day. Like, this was nice by Neptuno. Like, he's getting a bit focused, just bounces up the corner, amps it up, stays alive, drops down, he's getting healed up as well, destroying a lot of aggro, being annoying. As long as he doesn't get finished off, like, all of this damage, not really doing anything. Like, what is Mooma doing? What is Mooma hoping to achieve here? Good job, Mooma. You've contained the Lucio threat. And he's still healing it. Like, Boombox just topped him off during all of that. I don't know. I've been saying Fusion needs to sign a player called Diem. Yeah. Shadowburn should rename to Diem. Although Shadowburn's a good name, so... Oh look, Carpe's killed everyone. There's Boink. Goodbye, Boink. That looked one-sided as fuck. If you thought, man, that looked really one-sided, because it was really one-sided. There's not really much you can say. I think Houston are just playing, like, on that map, Houston are playing the wrong strat. So the commentators just said something interesting. I'm going to sort of turn it up. So that's 20% overall team damage done by Shadowburn, 23% overall team damage by Jake. That's concerning to me because it looked like Shadowburn was doing more damage on the Pharah regardless. And like they're talking about after the first team fight. So Shadowburn was doing more damage on Pharah, which also would then translate, if Jake's doing more damage by percent, then Fusion are just doing more damage overall. That makes a big difference. That makes a very, very big difference. Just because the team that usually does more damage will usually win the fight. So that just means that like Carpe's being more efficient, Poco's being more efficient, Neptuno's maybe being more efficient, Fraggy's being more efficient. So even on the ground, Philadelphia Fusion were just playing better. How many Lucio mains are celebrating for the end of the Mercy meta? All of them. God, that was so close. Like, oh, hello, Raucous. Oh, dear. what a place to pause. Feels pretty fucking bad, man. One thing I want to highlight is, like, this was a nice start, by the way, that, like, both teams have the same strat. They want to take control of this middle area, especially the tanks. They want to have the tanks up here, so, like, they're both just contesting, fighting back and forth. Nice little detail that Neptuno does is he just came around the side and just, like, booped and just knocked these guys off. So it's just like, yeah, fuck off, this is ours. This is our territory. It just means that Poco can sit up here and so can Neptuno really nice and safely. And when doing that, it makes life really easy for Poco. Like, Raucous now can't fly around in the middle anymore, so now Jake is without support. Raucous drops super low. They're probably caught, like, I imagine their comms is Mercy, 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 Mercy. And they go and get on Mercy, they go kill Mercy, and now it's just all disintegrated. So purely off Neptuno getting that boop, Poco can stay on the high ground. Means that Raucous can't fly around in the middle with Jake. Means that Raucous drops low, Raucous dies, they take control. Nice. Very, very nice. Neptuno, it's over! It's over! We have the high ground! You're my brother, Raucous, I loved you. Anyway. Oh god, this hurt to watch. This would have been, like, this would have been such a good fucking bomb, but... Ah, no! No! Diva, why? Diva, why? Right. Yeah, like, that hurt. It doesn't make the biggest... Like, this is just good defensive play from Carpe. This is one of the things that, as someone who's trying to learn Tracer, I've been watching very closely, is like, where are these Tracers positioning when they're on defense? More than anything. Like, how are they setting themselves up? And it's always just like, it's just a simple, easy flank position. Try and pulse bomb a tank, and then that's all they're doing. Very, very nice. Philadelphia Fusion know they have advantage for this fight, so they can just sort of take it easy, try and bait the enemy team to sort of engage fully, and then just use ultimates and hopefully take the fight. Raucous blinks first, activates ult, Boombox activates his second, so basically they have advantage. Poco with the beauty of a bomb, like both Divas bomb. Which one bombs first? That's... Where did you put this bomb? So normally, you'll see... Jesus. Sorry, okay, I'm trying to just keep track of all of this. Okay, normally what you would see is Diva bombs get used to kill pharmacies. And the way you do it is, once Pharah uses a jet rocket, like a rocket boost, so you're going to see Jake go up this way. You'll usually see, like, if the Mercy follows especially, you'll usually see the Diva just, like, lob the bomb at them. Because you can't drop far enough away, and if you're out in the open and there's no line of sight, you can't drop far enough away from the bomb to survive it. So you'd have to conk blast off something, or you would have to, sort of, Mercy would have to dash away, but she's just used it, so she's going to die. And so that's normally how you see it being used. But Poco actually sends his bomb this way, and Coolmat decides to lob a bomb in the air at the same time. So Coolmat pops out over here and just gets exploded. This is slightly lucky. I would also say that Fusion just played patiently. Houston are trying to make a big play here. The worst thing in the world happens in my mind, which is, like, Raucous starts this fight, activates Valkyrie. Fighting. Why is Boink sound barriered? Raucous hasn't used a single ultimate, single charge of Valkyrie. Hasn't used a single res. Oh no! Someone might die. All of 0.2 seconds. All this is done is burn time during the Valkyrie, where Raucous isn't getting value off it. If everyone in Houston survives for the time that Valkyrie lasts, which admittedly is a very goddamn long time, that's not good for Houston Outlaws. You've got to be so careful. Shadowburn is a bit of far than Genji. Vote yay or nay? Nay. Nay. Shadowburn's Genji is incredible. Don't get me wrong, his Farah is friggin' stellar as well. Like, oh my god, he's trying to knock Boink into the cars. But yeah, his Genji is just like A tier, S tier. God, that was a good shot. I almost spat my drink out. This is just Houston playing carefully. Now, sorry, this is just Philadelphia playing intelligently. They're just holding the choke, falling back a little bit, letting Houston engage, and then just matching them blow for blow. And like, Shadowburn is now completely free to do what he wants. Because Jake isn't a threat. And like, I was watching this, I remember watching this and going, Shadowburn has ult. He's gonna, and like, he's gonna do it at some point. He's just gonna go and ult one of the supports, because he knows they don't have support ults. So it's just like, he's just gonna ult one of the supports and end this fight. So you're watching it, okay, he duels the fire a little bit, and it's like, surely, like, he can just get the Mercy now. Surely he's just going to do it on the Mercy. He's just going to blow the Mercy up. Any moment now. Any second now. He's just going to blow the Mercy up. Now? No. Oh, wait. Now Guardian Angel gets used instantly. The moment Raucous used that Guardian Angel, Shadowburn knows he can get away with it. Good patience. Just really, really nice patience of just sort of waiting for Raucous to use the Guardian Angel dash to try and avoid damage, and then just drops the barrage on him. It's pretty good. So this is where everyone was sort of like, you know what, Philadelphia Fusion, pretty good team. pretty good team. I find them very, like, again, I said it before, I said it earlier, I'll say it again. They play the style of Overwatch that I most enjoy watching, which is this radically aggressive playstyle where they just try and kill people. And I like it so much. I like it so much. Is Shadowburn Korean? No. He's from Russia. Boombox opening up on the Widow. So, and then instantly changes off it. Aww. Honestly, Boombox could probably be a god tier Widow. Notice a couple of interesting things. Shadowburn is on Soldier. Fraggy is on Reinhardt. Fraggy is known for his Reinhardt, is what I'll say. He is the most aggressive Reinhardt on the planet, and known as one of the best. I'd say there are 3 god tier Reinhardts, actually maybe more. Like Fisher could probably count in there as well, but like Gesture, Fraggy, Chris, Kaiser as well. Like, we haven't seen Kaiser play in a long time, but I imagine he hasn't dropped off too much. I hope he hasn't. But yeah, like Fraggy is a Reinhardt that you feel comfortable with. This is the match that I was really interested in seeing when I saw this team lineup run out, because to me it determines, like, this is a much slower, this isn't a dive style, this is much slower. Houston Outlaws playing with a very simple defensive positioning. Again, this is what you typically see out of pros. They're going to just play around sort of this space here, then fall back towards the buildings. They generally have 1 or 2 people up here, and they can just play around this building, play around the health packs over here, and be perfectly safe. So Fraggy's just going to try and set up, get a bit of poke going. Might be moving a little bit too far forward. Carper gets caught out. Okay, this is bad news. Now Houston are going to just go aggressive on their own, just start pushing out the Reinhardt, and Fusion realise it instantaneously, yeah, we got to get out. Like, we can't stay, we've lost a Tracer, we've lost enough DPS that we can't stay here. Shadowburn backs off, and they go, okay, we try playing a slow style, guys, sod it, let's go dive them. They want to stay back there, we'll just go and meet them. Reinforce. Oh, you cheeky man. This was Jake throwing. So they can see, like, someone on Houston should be checking, like, what swaps have occurred. They should have swapped, you know, they see that, oh, Fraggy's gone on Winston, Shadowburn is on Genji. Okay, they're going to play, this is dive, you know, they're not going to slow poke. Why is Jake over here? Junkrat, if he gets dove, is actually very easy to kill, and especially if you dive in with a D.Va, because he can't jump away. Linkser goes for a desperation, Deadeye, dies. Just easy as you like. Neptuno ulted during this, and it's like, why? Why bother? Actually, I like it. I don't mind the ult here. It's just, it's that aggression as well. Like, they ult and engage. It's just like, fuck it, just go hard or go home. We'll heal the shit out of our team and just kill everyone. One thing I'm pleasantly surprised about Overwatch League is that no team except maybe Shanghai is a pushover. Yeah, I agree. Teams, like, we have matches. It's not like, the thing that I was paranoid about was what we saw in preseason, which was like a lot of 4 Overwatch. It's what people like, and 4 Overwatch is not that exciting. But we had a lot of 3-1s happening, and that was good to see. I've been pleasantly surprised by how close the field has been. So this is where it starts to get scary, though. Like, you got Junkrat on the high ground spamming down. They're going to have to play that very aggressive dive style. They don't have a safety net, but honestly, they know that Houston have ultimate advantage, so I imagine Philadelphia are just going to want to try and get through the gates as best as possible. And then they're not looking to sort of take a serious fight, aside from just fishing out either ults from Houston. If Houston don't ult, then they're probably going to wait until they have a few more support ultimates to get stuff going. Meanwhile, Houston just going to try and slow things down, using Riptires, Deadeyes. As long as I cycle Riptide and Deadeye every so often, and just get a kill every single time this push starts, that's all they need to do to buy themselves some time. Again, Jake, this is... Like, people say that Jake is a god tier rat, but... I don't... I'm gonna go hunt down Shadowburn. Oh, Shadowburn's won. I've been Discord-awed, they know exactly where I am. I'm gonna go and try and kill Shadowburn, and now I'm just horrifically out of position. And it's like, there was no need for that. No need at all. And so Philadelphia Fusion have just won a fight using a Diva Bomb that didn't do anything. Oh wait, no, it killed Linkser, which is... okay, fair enough. It killed Linkser. Good Diva Bomb. Like, just nicely placed, well done. 10 out of 10. But I don't understand this decision of like, you know what we need to do? Give up the high ground and then try and chase down a Genji who's dashed off and picked up and has support. I don't see that decision. It just seems impatient. And to me, the thing with Jake, and I think my issue with Jake, and like, I'm gonna harp on Jake a lot, and it's not that I think he's a bad player. I think Jake is a decent player that has been made out to be the god tier 10 out of 10 super carry of Team USA. And I don't think that's correct. I do not think that is a correct assessment of his abilities. Because he was very vocal in Team UK. He was very, very hyped in Team UK, had a really good match against Flower, where it felt like, oh, this is Jake versus Flower. But really, it was just Flower shooting all over everyone from a great height. And it was like... I don't see it, and he has like this mini interview where it's like, yeah, I want to be the player that everyone talks about and stuff like that, and it's like, it feels like he's sort of become that in his head, and the media has sort of pushed him to be that, because he was the big story of Team USA, but I don't think he is that. He isn't Shadowburn, he isn't Fraggy, he isn't, not Fraggy, he isn't Fleda, he isn't Pine, he isn't Birdring, he isn't, like, he isn't these players. He's a Junkrat that's been he's been an okay Junkrat, done a lot of damage, gets kills pretty reliably on Junkrat when he should be getting kills. But I don't see the big carry play coming from him. Instead, I see Linkser doing stuff like just reliably going up against people like Pine, like Fleda, like these high-level players, and doing well against them, and slowing them down, stopping them up, and causing them a couple of problems. And that's where I get annoyed, I think, because people overlook how good people like Linkser are, people like Coolmat are, people like Raucus are, just to go and say, oh yeah, Jake's by far the best player in Houston Outlaws. And I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case. And if you ask me, like, I think Mando Kusai has the same issue at times where he just sort of gets a bit big-headed. Let me do my Mendo, because like while I'm ranting about players and making players hate me if they ever find out about me, I'm sure they won't. I'm sure they don't give a shit. My issue with Mendo Kasai is this: Mendo Kasai is a great player. He is an absolutely great player, A-star player. Has that like glimmer of carry potential. Also has that star potential that teams will like, where he's somewhat outspoken, he's charismatic, he's easy to like. But my issue with Mendo Kasai is this: Mendo Kasai follows a pattern where he'll join a team will do okay, and then he'll just be removed from the team. And that signals that there's something wrong there. And this is where I get, like, I'm curious about Houston. Maybe he's just ill, maybe he's under the weather, maybe he wasn't played for other reasons. But it's like, does he have, like, a communication thing? Does he need more coaching? Does he need more stabilization in terms of how he portrays himself or how he works in teams? I know he has issues with, like, sleep issues quite often, whether that's like depression oriented or just something medical with him, but if they can fix that, then that'll work wonders for him, because it seems like he has a hard time keeping a schedule and stuff like that as well. Mendo to me is one of those players that I think just needs maybe a little bit of discipline, and once that comes in, he will probably be a great player. Is he a bit like people used to do with Seagull, overhyping into the Stratosphere? Kind of, yeah. I'd say that's kind of true for Jake. Again, he was the big hope of Team USA, and
Welcome to
that's sort of my thing. Opinion on Florida Mayhem?
Opinion on Florida Mayhem.
I watched the Boston... no, I'm getting distracted now. Shadowburn just kills it. This is just like... Spoiler alert, this is just good ultimate usage, good engages from Fusion. Shadowburn set up nice and easy. Dive onto the backline, trying to just force people to use ultimates. Poco again with one of these sick Diva bombs that just opens everything up for the team. Shadowburn goes down early during the fight, so Raucous thinks, oh, well, this is fine, I can just trance and be safe. And then the fight just goes so long, Neptuno gets just, like, this shouldn't happen, and I think this comes off the back of Links are going down. Where it's like, Neptuno should not be able to get a slow res onto Shadowburn. Because now, Raucous uses ult, Shadowburn has Dragonblade available. Shadowburn can just go, well, guess I, you know, if you watch Rick and Morty, you know, it's like the assassin is like, well, guess I'm going killing people again. Shadowburn just, well, guess I'm gonna go murder everybody with this Dragonblade. And fight done. Opinion of Florida Mayhem. 6-man roster is going to struggle. Tuvik is the carry player. I think they are it's a decent core to build around. I would just like to see them get more players. The game against Boston Uprising was really interesting because it felt like Boston Uprising kind of just solved them. Boston Uprising played really well though. Then like this, you can't prepare for this. Like this is just. This is someone who knows how to launch a Diva Bomb, who's just positioned it correctly, and it just sits around the corner. Like, people, this is a sign to me that, like, this is a sign that Overwatch is in its infancy, by the way. It's like, let me focus on this first, before I get distracted again. This is a sign that Overwatch is in its infancy, because people think this Diva Bomb isn't going to kill him by standing here. Right? No, Poco has launched it uncontested just from the backline, and he's just sailed it round this corner. Of course it's gonna fucking hit there. This is just... It's like the world's easiest shot for Poco. It just triple kills. And that's because Houston had this hubris to think, oh, well, I'm safe around this corner. Oh, you fuck. Poco's just put it there. He's just parked it exactly where he wants to put it. This is what a pro-tier diva looks like. Congratulations, Poco. You've just got a triple kill and just got this progress on the point at this point. Like, that's what it looks like when a diva just knows how to launch a good bomb. It's not even hard to do. You just load up a map and you just go, okay, let's see if I can get this bomb just so it lands just around the corner. You learn how to aim it, you learn how to position it, and done. Houston do a good job of swapping off onto sort of sturdier heroes. They have a good lineup. Like, this is sort of the one saving grace of running that Junkrat earlier, is you have the Junkrat for third point. Usually dive starts to fall apart a little bit here because there's just so much damage, so much spam coming through. It just gets really, really difficult. Good job by Raucous just to slow this one down as well. Like, that was just nicely done by Raucous. Just spots out that Shadowburn's gone over, goes, catches him, puts a stop to him. Like, this is just nice awareness. Raucous knows the threat's there, Shadowburn can't engage now. Nice. They put you in charge of scouting for Mayhem. What players would you look for? Definitely a Genji. I'd say you could probably leave Tuvik playing Tracer, and then try and like get just a Genji main in there. You probably want a more dedicated Diva player as well, I'm just thinking. But honestly, Cruz would probably be a good fit into Florida Mayhem, to be honest. Just having like a very powerful Genji to bring out every now and then. Poco's just going to do the same bomb again. This time they know about it, so they catch it. Like, they don't... Basically, so the way that Houston reacted to it first time was I think they were just stood like out here, and Mercial stood here, and the bomb just lands like here. Now they know to run and hide and get out the friggin' way. Cruz is playing support now? I know. I know. I think Cruz would be very happy if someone swapped him back to Genji. And he's a good Genji. Opinion on Logix? Logix chokes. And I think that's what happened during Uprising, versus Uprising, is Logix choked. That's kind of how the game felt to me, it's just Logix choked. So yeah, Boston had a pretty free time of it. Dreamcapster had some pretty good plays. Like, it feels like the analogy I gave in the video that I did, I know I've sort of gone off topic from this game. Again, this is just ult cycling through. Houston Outlaws have learned, at least. But yeah. The analogy I gave for Boston Uprising is they are the Krillin of the league. And I actually really like that analogy. If you don't watch Dragon Ball Z, Krillin is like a really, really, really strong human who trains really hard. He occasionally has shining moments. He's often the comic relief, though. He's a little bit sort of like, he's the guy that gets beaten up quite a lot. But he trains really hard, and occasionally has these good moments where he just goes in and does stuff. And then someone else comes along and just effortlessly beats him because they're a Saiyan and they're stronger, and they just get stronger. And so Krillin's just like, it doesn't matter how much he trains, he will never be better than these other things. And I think that's what I see sort of Boston as. Is Boston, they can train as hard as they like, but Boston's current peak is like here, while someone like Seoul Dynasty is like up here. Right? And so until you get past this is sort of a problem for them. And so Boston, as they are, is an okay team. And right now, it's more like Boston are sort of like Seoul are like here, and Boston's like here, and then like a couple of other teams are sort of around the same-ish level. But this gap is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, I think, as time goes by. London Spitfire are the best team in Overwatch League. I'd say that's probably Seoul at the moment. I think London is still getting used to playing with the sort of the blended roster. London have very, very high potential, though. Who is Frieza? Pine. No, actually, Pine's Goku. I really do like that analogy as well, where Pine just comes out and makes everyone else look bad. Whoever takes Pine down is going to be Frieza. I know I've completely lost the thread on this match. I'm being honest, this is like final point stalling. This just comes down to who cleans up better, who kills better, who deals with threats better. Boombox swapping onto the Soldier 76 just to get back. He's doing it again. But hey, looks like Shadowbone's going to kill everyone again. Spoiler alert. Oh, God. The thing with Shadowbone is it's just so clean. It's just so clean watching him kill stuff. Like, I often wonder if some of these pros don't see the, like, if people see the world at different speeds, and like Shadowburn, it feels like it's just operating at like 75% speed compared to everyone else. Like, he just sees the world slower, because it just looks so easy for him. What happened when Flower gets in the league? Flower, yeah. That was like perfect sell. I'm going too far with these Dragon Ball analogies. Does, big question, does Pine use brain? Pine uses brain. Pine uses team as well. Like, Pine's team made a big difference there. Can't be underestimated. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's get back into this one. Oh, look at this. Oh, UI errors. Oh no, the league is terrible. It's ruined. So London Spitfire, interesting new roster. No. I'm trying my best not to call them the Shock as well. Fusion, opting for, again, Fraggy on the Reinhardt, just playing this more sort of poke-oriented lineup, just going to be playing around this space. Pretty typical Eichenwald defense stuff. When they play back here, just try and shoot people. If they need to fall back, they can fall back into the room behind or over here, pick up some health packs. Hey, okay. Who's Flowers joining? New York. It's going to be sick. New York are going to be insane. Oh, Fraggy. I've got to say, the away skin Reinhardt looks really good. Like, I think if I'm going to get any Reinhardt Overwatch League skin, it'll probably be an away skin, because it's like the white and then with just subtle colours on it. It looks really good. On the offense, nothing too surprising. Again, this is sort of a more sort of slow, poke, spam lineup. Not really looking to do anything too fancy. Not really good start from Lynx. And like this is where it's like Lynx is a really fucking solid player, guys. Like Shadowburn's just floating around out on the ether. Gets his head blown off. And even tries to just contain threats. You can see, hello Fraggy. This is the main tank of this team, and he's just over here, just smashing the shit out of Lynxer. This is why people like Fraggy. Looks like he's a stormtrooper. Yes. Cool Matt just gets a little bit screwed over there. Doesn't quite get the dash off, but didn't matter too much. Poco gets blown up. Poco dies. Fraggy, what are you doing? It's like this is like a, you know, It's like a spider in the bath. Just get a broom, just try. Fraggy, what are you doing in there? This is because, okay, so basically what's happened, by the way, if, you know, how did Houston just move on to the point? Philadelphia's front line is gone. They've just lost a huge amount of DPS with Shadowburn being dead and Boombox being dead as well. So this has just opened the door for Houston just to start rolling forward. I think Linksa gets rezzed as well. Yeah, so Linksa gets rezzed, so the DPS is just there for them just to push forward without too many issues. And like Fraggy's on vacation. He's finally here, but he's just sort of all the way back here, so he can't tank for anything anymore. So down they go. This is just nice play by Coolmat. Like, Coolmat can honestly just make a choice here, but I like the fact that he's just, like, basically he's got 3 people under control. And so, I mean, he's just sort of go, team, please, just kill Fraggy. Let someone go kill Fraggy, but finally, like, it's going to happen inevitably, so now they can just clean up on whatever Coolmat's doing. Nicely done. Good stuff, Coolmat. What is Kuki's role in Soul Dynasty? I could not tell you off the top of my head. Or I wouldn't like to try and tell you off the top of my head without verifying a couple of things. I love how the pros had to buy their own skins. The teams are paying their wages. I'm sure they can fork out. Oh no. Okay, like how do Philadelphia come back into this one? They swapped off the soldier, which I think is an interesting decision, so they're going back to what's comfortable for them. They have a lot of ultimates in the bank, but so do Houston Outlaws, because Houston Outlaws kind of won that one without ultimates. So in my mind, Fusion should just try and slow down this push for now, try and get Houston to use what ultimates they can, and then just not commit too many ultimates. If Boombox uses Transcendence here, I'll be a little bit disappointed, as I don't think they should. Looks like Boombox does, so now they're just going to be playing for basically a full reset. But I think this is asking for some trouble. Just because Houston are just going to respawn that much faster, and like contesting here is going to be difficult anyway. This does give Shadowburn a chance to sort of build up a little bit and sort of come back into the game with the Dragon Blade. But I would have liked to see Philadelphia maybe just try and hold on to an advantage for the next point and for the next fights, rather than just trying to win it on this fight when it's a little bit too even, and Shadowburn doesn't have any resources to sort of work with. So he's always going to be playing in a difficult position. Moon, we're just trying to be annoying. Backs off. There we go. According to the official site, yeah, he's a tank. I believe he's a Winston player. Beyond that, I could not tell you. Yeah, Coolmat is number 69. This is great. I'm so happy they gave him that number. Good start. Carpe just gets a kill. Linksa does shut down Neptuno, though. That's going to set these ultimate charges further, even further back for Neptuno. And like, because Houston have this DPS ult advantage, they can honestly see that it's kind of a big deal that Jake hasn't managed to get anything done. That's just unfortunate for Carpe and a little bit silly by Carpe in my mind to try and go for that recall. But this is where like Jake has better ults, so they can just get these kills. Well, Houston Outlaws just have better offensive ultimates, so they're just using them to just leverage. And Philadelphia Fusion don't really have anything. Now they have Dragon Blade coming online. It's a little bit dicey because Raucous is online, so it's like there was never a point and second where they have an advantage, or it feels like they have an advantage. This again is just really nice by Coolmat, just roadblocking. He's just sitting here roadblocking, slowing down everything that Philadelphia is trying to do. Philadelphia want to play fast. Houston should slow it down. Coolmat is just, he's just good. He's just in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, and I like that. Because that's pretty much determines what is a good diva. Finding the right targets, blocking off the right things, isolating the right things, and he's doing that all the time. Pine reminds you of that of Darth Vader in that scene. That's not a bad analogy either. Coolmat trying to show you can do it too. You're no Poco, son. Too high. Hits the roof, curves up on the roof. Feels bad, man. So this is where, like, if I was Philly, I'd be worried. And this is sort of, to me, what highlights sort of the big issue with Philly, is this is the third time they've had to swap their DPS. So it just feels like they're constantly like, oh god, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? You play this and this, and then we play this and this, and then do this and this, and then it's like they're spending so long just changing through. Meanwhile, Jake has almost built up another ult. Lynx has built up another ult. I think Shadowburn's had a Dragon Blade. Carpe might have had a Pulse Bomb or two, but it's like this constant cycling of heroes is causing them issues. Now, Poco's a goddamn legend, so he can keep him in, and like that's good, but still feels like a little bit of an issue. Don't get me wrong, like Junkrat on third is great, but it's just, I don't know, I'd like to see just this a bit smoother. Or it just feels like this is sort of the communication thing that you hear pop up, or like the discipline thing. It's like, it doesn't feel like they have someone shot calling to make a definitive plan or a roadmap of how you're going to lay out this game. What are you going to use in what fights? Like Poco, just doing the same thing again. Again, that's what a good diva looks like. That should be the standard for diva at this point. Fraggy's out in the middle of nowhere. Poco's now swapped off the diva, is on Zarya. Very common to see on this part of the map. The right-click spam is just very, very good. Easy to build up high charge. Junkrat's typically played here. It's just a very, very strong play. It's interesting to see Fraggy still on the Reinhardt, but looks like he's going for it. Linksa does a good job catching that Riptire, because that could really cause some problems. Like, really cause some problems. Wanted to kill Raucus, might have killed Muma. Linksa just catches it. Fraggy catches it with a flash, right? Like, okay, we have like the best save in the world, so we'll get to that in a second. Like, Fraggy's a goddamn legend, because holy shit, he just catches it with a fire strike. Isn't that cool? I think that's so cool. Like, this is why I say Fraggy's like tier 1 Reinhardt player, because he caught that Riptire. He's safe doing it as well, because he's got a barrier on him. Gets the Earth Shadow. And then, well, Jake's fucked. Let me... Where's YouTube? Can I please find this? There we go. Let's skip forward. Just amazing. It's just blocked. Oh god, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. It's so, I had to do that version, by the way, for carry, because otherwise copyright. But yeah, just cool Matt comes out of nowhere. Beautiful. Like, you could not ask for like a better moment. Does it hurt you? It should do. It's my heart will go on played on a shitty recorder. It's amazing. It's amazingly funny. Anyway. This is, again, just good setup by Houston, like using, Moon was just doing a good job. This is Boombox again, being Boombox, and sort of getting punished for being Boombox. Lynx is trying to just get to the high ground, doesn't even know that Boombox is here. Boombox, I think, gets a little bit unlucky with this shot. Because Lynx is just looking, I think, to get to the high ground there. He just wants to sort of get set up for this Deadeye. Gets it off. And he can just hold on to it. He's got damage jump as well, so he's going to shatter the barrier, and just waits, bides his time, gets Poco. Nice. And I like Lynx's patience in his movements. Like, he's just tracking targets, getting kills. He's not over-engaging. He's not over-egging it. He's just locks on, fires shots, gets kills. Good. I've trained in near-perfect pitching, then you give me that. Oh, yeah. There's so much green on the screen that I start to disappear. But this is where the game gets exciting, right? Because, holy shit. It's 2-2. Oh no, wait, it's a draw, sorry, yeah, we still got to play this one out. Spoiler alert. This series goes the distance. Again, if you haven't watched it, why haven't you watched it? I like the change up from Philadelphia Fusion, just trying to run different things, just trying to do different things. I do like the call out of, like, what's Reinhardt doing here? It's mostly just there, I imagine, just to protect the supports, because, like, Carpe's not going to be there, Shadowburn's going to be floating around, so Fraggy's just going to be mostly on his own. The thing that Fraggy, I think, likes doing is he just likes trying, like, you can see Fraggy's very aggressive here, and I think he just likes twatting people with a hammer as they try and come through here. Like, he's basically doing Winston's job of playing aggressive in his positioning. and then just creating like a zone of denial around this space. And I think that's all he's trying to do. And if he's worried, he'll just charge back towards the point and just try and fight around the point. And honestly, it suits Fraggy's playstyle. Like, Fraggy plays Reinhardt like most people play Winston, so it sort of works for him. You can see that they instantly just isolate him and pressure him down. This should be a dead Jake, and it's shocking to me that it wasn't, but that's, you know, that's just a huge misfortune. Changes up target, goes for it, good. Good start. Don't know how Neptuno died to Jake with Pharah floating around. This shouldn't be happening. This is really nicely done by Jake. Like, that's just really, really good target prio and just good sort of calling. Good job just getting it up there. Nice. Because that is the main threat dealt with. Like, that's the one threat that this attacking team can't really deal with super easily. By dealing with it, it frees up Linksa to get an easy res, stuff like that. So now Linksa can just get onto the point, and now that Linksa's on the point, like, there's nothing that Fusion can really do. And so Houston, because they had time left in the bank, get the one tick, win. I think the biggest, like, the reason why they lost that one was simply because no one like, Jake was out there in the open, and if they weren't playing the Reinhardt, they could have just dove him. That could have made the difference. Gone too far. Okay. Isn't that pretty? I think that's so pretty. That's such a good backdrop. I love to have this as my background, especially if it was animated. Oh, God, isn't it pretty? Especially, like, with the wraparound, it makes you feel like you're in Lijiang Tower. It's really cool. The nice little low-res cityscape. It wouldn't be the future without Zeppelins. Stream donation goal to get a soundboard when? Oh. It's not a bad idea. Waiting for Lijiang to open up. So basically, so this is where people get annoyed at 2CP, by the way. Like, I remember reading an article about this, or like watching a video about this, I think. I can't remember who was talking about this, but basically, a lot can be determined, and this is why best of 5 used to be favored, because you basically, with best of 5, you are guaranteed to play all 3 maps. Because a lot can be determined very quickly by what starts out. So, for example, Fusion have a better pharmacy. So if you get a map like this one, which is a pharmacy map, that's a huge advantage, because you're going to go 1-0 up. Like, if your pharmacy is better than their pharmacy and you play it and you beat them on this map, then yeah, it's really good. I'm going to LA for Stage 2 Week 2. Have a lot of fun, man. Try and, like, say hello to people and just, like, meet people where you can, because, honestly, most people in the Overwatch community and, like, Overwatch personalities are very friendly, and so just say hello if you see them. Enjoy it. Enjoy it as much as you can. And so, like, on this map, for example, I would favor Fusion just because Fraggy is a beast. And so, you put Fraggy on a map like this one, and it's scary. Spree, they brought Spree out, they dragged Spree out because they know it's Lijiang Tower. Spree is mostly known for his area. Like, that's kind of all you need to know about Spree. I think he's got a pretty strong Tracer on him as well, but he's mostly known for Zarya. Like, interesting support choices here. Not opting for the standard, instead opting for Lucio Moira, so clearly want to fight in close quarters. Unfortunately, Philadelphia also want to fight in close quarters, and Fraggy is a thing. Fraggy, with the first 5 strike, has got 30% ult charge already, and has just moved them onto the point, and Fusion are just going to play back a little bit and just fight, fight, fight. Fraggy is on now almost 100% ultimate charge. With a second fire strike, because Houston aren't running a diva, so nothing's catching these fire strikes, everyone is eating them, and Fraggy is just getting ult charge for free. And now, this is literally Fraggy just goes to town on people. And he's got an ultimate. Now, unfortunately for Fraggy, the ultimate he has is Earthshatter. And Earthshatter is shit. So he just gets booted into the air, and Muma just stands there with his barrier up and... I love the reaction of, wait, what? What the fuck? Because, yeah, it's ridiculous. But it's also a sign that Philadelphia Fusion are just doing so much more damage. So much more damage. Like, with these fire strikes connecting with the spam coming through from Shadowburn on the Zarya, with this triple tank lineup, it's like Jake is not going to have much impact because you got triple tank with a lot of healing behind it. And then this is like the nightmare situation, because once Boombox and Neptuno have these ultimates, the advantage you get with Moira is she has a very, very quick ultimate. It's irrelevant when better ultimates are on the table. So Moira activates Coalescence, who really gives a shit? Neptuno's activated Valkyrie, he's healing everyone for just as much. Or, like, not just as much, but he's healing everyone still. You know, a little bit more reliably. Someone dies, he just picks them up. Easy. And now they just have ult advantage. Boombox just puts a kibosh on it. Just easy cleanup. Fraggy's killing people. It's insane. It is insane. Hello, OneAmongstMany. How are you today? Hello, Luxor. I'm pretty good. How are you? And at this point, like, Houston do have a way in. Like, they do have an in. Notably, Shadowburn used Grav at some point. Oh god, I've gone back too far. Too far! Okay, I'm actually curious to see where this Grav goes. But, like, this ultimate advantage just lets Shadowburn build it as well. And, like, the Mercy ult is just keeping everyone alive and up and running, because Mercy ult is really good. And so these better ultimates are just going to make all the difference at the end of the day. Shadowburn builds up Grav, flies off a Grav, everyone's caught up in it, and they're just all dead. Fraggy just cleans up. Now, the sort of the saving grace for Houston is they will have a good push coming in. They have, like, Riptire, they have Grav, and they have Sound Barrier. So they have some good ultimates coming online. The only saving grace for Fusion is basically Fusion can stall quite nicely because they have Earthshatter and they have Diva ult. So Diva Bomb can be used just to sort of block people off. And this is actually a pretty scary combo that's coming online. Because if you put these two together correctly, you basically have something unavoidable. And then Fraggy is just a god. Like, we almost miss it, blink and you'll miss it. Earthshatter comes through, doesn't catch anyone. Or catches Diva, who gives a shit to be honest. Counter Earthshatter comes through. Because Muma, I don't know, Muma just underestimates Fraggy. Or no, they get hungry, they just get out of position, they're not behind the Reinhardt, so Fraggy just gets two. Jake being dead means that there's just not enough damage into the Grav. This is nice by Spree and Boink, just to sort of go, okay, we need to deal with this, so let's just go and deal with it. That's just good target focus. But it's too little too late. What is this Riptire? So Fusion, like, Outlaws is trying to force this fight. They want this fight. Fusion is just going to play it like, Fusion are... Oh, yeah, okay, please throw shit at us. We're just going to stand on the point until it's nice and high and... Go on, use him. Yeah, Carpe going for the Deadeye is a bit of interest. Ah, it's because they have Grav, but like, I would have liked to have seen him hold that maybe until the Grav comes up. Grav gets two. This is where I want to highlight, like, for people who are asking, like, oh, how do we coach, like, oh, how do you play Zarya? How do you set stuff up? Just notice how efficient this is, where it's just, like, just gets two. You don't need to get more. He doesn't lob it, like, over here trying to get everyone into it. He just lobs it here where he knows he can get people. Because if you kill these two people, you basically won the fight. You don't need to kill more than that. And so it's just a nice little thing of just like, okay, let's just get the kills we can kill, nice and safe, nice and easy, and then just play from there. Because Houston have used a shitload of ultimates just to get into this position. Opinions on Spree? He is a good Zarya. Just, like, we haven't seen enough of him to determine his power level, to be honest. It seems an odd thing to me to have a player purely to play Zarya. That's what I'll say. We'll see what else he gets put on. I mean, it looks like he's been put on Diva as well. It seems an odd choice. I don't know. Actually, it's not too bad. Having like Zarya and Diva in your back pocket is pretty good for a lot of 2CP, and if it like if the meta swings, then sure. That's a nice piece of information from Mitch. This is where, like, this is why it's exciting to have the commentators and the players all in kind of the same area, because you can find information out very easily. So that's scary for Houston. Like, they have to break that. One of the nice things that happened with Team UK is Smex, who's mostly predominantly a Roadhog player. We basically pushed him onto D.Va because D.Va was meta. We had to have a D.Va player. So he was big into Zarya, big into Roadhog, but we had to have this D.Va. And so it's just like, you know, you got to go and learn it. You got to go and grind it on ladder. You got to just play it on ladder as much as you can. Learn how to play D.Va. And he started doing it. He started getting really into it, and he started sort of appreciating it. And it was just like a mindset thing for him of like, let's get him enjoying playing D.Va because that's going to make a big difference here. It's a nice, so it's a bit of a rough start in the dive here from Fusion. Like, to me, Lijiang is like a classic dive map. So you can see like the setup's already there. I think just Fraggy's jumped the gun slightly. His car. So the idea is you get your Tracer in position over here because you want your Tracer coming in from here because it's blind, so they can't see it coming. Genji and Winston can just either come in here or you can take over this area and come in up and over. So you sort of have a choice on how you want to address it. Tracers usually do go this way, or they'll go straight around the point and sort of either come in this way, or just come through here. I usually, if you're going for like a dive and you want to force the fight over here, I usually prefer seeing a Tracer come this way, just because it's easier. And yeah, like, I think Fraggy just jumps the gun a little bit, or Houston just go and contest this space a little bit quickly. But just good target focus. Discord orbs on target. Both Genji and Tracer get on it. This is good by Poco, just buying enough space to get that res in. But unfortunately, Jake gets himself a huge pickup there. Like, just as the res comes through, manages to catch everyone. Poco and Shadowburn both go down. Jake gets a little bit lucky. Feels good, man. And yet, it's not over yet. This is awkward. There we go. Now that Lynx is back in, this should make a lot of difference. Poco is a god though, Shadowburn's also back in. This is where sort of the mobility of dive that's making a big difference. Like, Fraggy is discorded. What's hitting him? Nothing. Nothing at all. I'm guessing it swaps onto something. Like, this is where I'd love to have third-person view, or like a free replay. This is really good play from the tanks of Philadelphia Fusion. They've slowed it down. They've managed to get a lot of damage out. They're staying, like, the big thing is they're staying alive while still doing damage, and that's making all the difference here, because it felt like Houston just stopped dealing damage to targets and just started like, oh, well, we just clean up. And then suddenly Poco and Fraggy just come in, dealing a shitload of damage on key targets and just clean up. Really nice. Like, that should have been Houston's fight. It just felt like a lack of discipline, if I had to say anything. Shadowburn is A-okay. We've seen this before. Shadowburn is more than fine, just using an ultimate straight up. Lynxer is badly out of position, just gets killed. Like, what is Lynxer doing there? How is Lynxer there? Why are you here? Oh my god, Fraggy. Oh my god, did you see that? Did you see that fucking dodge? So he sees the Riptire, like, Fraggy sees this... It gets nudged off by Spree, but he's being hunted down by a Riptire by two people. He drops off, he doesn't die here. He jumps back up. He ults and jumps back in. Holy shit, Fraggy, you monster. He had a Deadeye. Even there, it's like... Ugh. Seems to be working out for him regardless. Hello, Neptuno. Oh my god. Calm your... Mitch! Mitch! He wanted to say one thing and his brain went, no. Mercy ult is really good, by the way. Reses someone, stops healing, just kills Lynxer. Oh, I like this. This is Fusion. Just like, they don't stop fighting you. You expect that they're just gonna like back off and just go, oh yeah, no, we can see this. They're just fighting. Staying alive, staying on the point, fighting. And the thing is, if Fusion, like, they've hit this point now where if they don't commit ults, they can probably come out of this fight with an ultimate advantage. So Lynx has sort of found himself getting dove, hunted down, and killed repeatedly, so he swapped off. All this time, this is ticking up. This is all ticking up. Fusion don't have to use ults now. Because honestly, if they win a fight, they're in a really good position. Raucous just ulted. That's huge because Shadowburn's going to have ult available for next fight. Res 2 and kill 3 during the ult. Maybe a bit OP, maybe a touch. It's a good pulse bomb from Carpe to force out another ultimate. So, like, one of the things that could stop Shadowburn in this next fight is Muma ulting. So, hey, good job, Carpe. Doesn't really like trading pulse bomb for Primal Rage is a-okay. Got a Diva Bomb to cover any pushes as well. Goes in. Gets himself one. Has France there. This is just like the easiest cleanup fight. This is all off the back of just taking these very, very long extended battles. This is good by Lynxer. Like, Lynxer's done a really good job, and this is again why I praise the shit out of Lynxer, where he's had to swap off the McCree, but he's done a very good job of building up a Dragon Blade in this interim, in like one and a bit fight, one fight plus change. He's managed to build up a Dragon Blade in time to sort of save his team. This is also sort of good play by Houston just to be able to split up this much and just be able to survive this much. Because I don't think, like, the way that Fusion are playing, they were just expecting to win this. And then Lynxer manages to get a lot of value off the back of it. Boombox does shut him down, but by then it's sort of already too late. The res is coming through from Boink. Neptuno's dead. Starts going a little bit wrong. Like, that was nicely done by Lynxer. And now it's a little bit spicy. It's a little bit close, isn't it? Oh. Again, Tracer just finding a different angle. So Neptuno is, this is again an aggressive push. This is just once again Philadelphia Fusion are a-okay just using ultimates to engage. The big test for me is like, how do Houston react to this? It's a very, very good start. A bit of an iffy trade because Neptuno has res. Now that was very, very interesting, because one of the ways that Houston could stop this, and I think this just shows how good Poco is, one of the best ways to stop something like this is to just use Diva Bomb. Diva Bomb is great for putting brakes on stuff. So basically you use Diva Bomb if the enemy team wants to engage using a support ultimate and you Diva Bomb, the support ultimate's kind of irrelevant, because Diva Bomb will just kill anything through it. So it's like, you want to use that, but Poco just did a good job of shutting down Spree and then just killing him off. And then from there, Philadelphia Fusion can just engage. So like Poco's just playing really nicely. Next fight, support ultimate's coming online. Should be coming online for both sides. Boombox will probably have his by the time that they need it. They know that Mercy ult's not going to be a part of this one. So they just have to worry about the Zenyatta's. So I imagine this Pulse Bomb is going to be like destined, and that's a big pick. This is how Boombox wins you games. This Pulse Bomb that he's trying to build, and he's just trying to put pressure on Raucous. He wants to flummox Raucous. He wants Raucous to ult, and Boombox just picks him. Boink's going to try for a res. Shadowburn and Carpe just going to stop it happening. Huge advantage now going over to the side of Philadelphia Fusion because they have France, the enemy doesn't, so they can just go and engage super hard. Shadowburn goes hard and goes deep. And there we go. And like that ending part shows to me that like Fusion do understand how to play it. Like, and that sounds really arrogant of me to say. Like, they do understand how to play the game. They know how to play the game. But they understand how to break down these objectives, and when it's working for them, it's really working for them. They know how to do dive. They know how to execute it. It just feels like there are times when it's like the overarching strategy of the game just sort of gets away from them, and it's like they don't have people just making calls on like, okay, use this, okay, we need to swap this, okay, we need to be getting ready to do this. But yeah, really, really nicely done by Fusion. Definitely made it, like, they had a really good showing. My question is this, which is, Fusion can very, very quickly turn into what Shock were. Which is like, Shock came out and Baby Bay looked really good and really, really strong. And they started sort of dominating, killing people. It's really, really exciting. And then what ends up happening is, they just sort of get figured out. And so you can end up in a situation where it's just like, what happened to shock will happen to Fusion, where they'll go up against a team like London Spitfire, like Seoul Dynasty, and then just get smashed. Absolutely smashed. Lamo Banny dies whenever he reses. That's not really Banny's fault, to be honest. It's just, it's tough. It's tough for these teams. It is tough for these teams. Okay. That will probably about wrap it up for us with this episode of Probing the Many. We could probably actually have time to do more. Do we do more? I want to do more. Let's look into more Overwatch. Let's go over here. Why not? As well, I pick out a different game. Maybe Bay was strong, but then London put a game bounty on his head.